Yes. I'll start at 3:05.
Remind bit to Devashri.
Yes, I'll do that.
बेटा पर कर देखो
Good afternoon, Trevi.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, this is Amit. Thanks, Trevi, for joining. And good afternoon, Mr. Vasudevan. This is Amit Walia from Shell.
Yeah, good afternoon. Vasudevan here.
Devashri, check with Bittu.
Yes. I'm just waiting to hear from him.
Yeah, no, send a message to his secretary. Reshma can do that. Reshma, do that.
Trevi, you may also please switch on your camera if you like so.
I have it on. You can't see me?
Not me, but Devashri, if you can confirm that, if you can see, or Akansha.
No, I cannot.
We can only see Dr. Apte and Mr. Vasudevan, but not you. Yes, Trevi. We can see you now. Thank you.
Okay.
Devashri, I think in a minute we should start.
Sure.
Yeah?
She will let you know, his secretary, that if he's joining. Meanwhile, we can begin.
Yeah. I mean, there are still, people coming in. You
Yes.
keep admitting those. I think we should start in the 1 minute because people may have other commitments after 4.
Will do.
Deveshri, shall we start?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think, we are good to go.
All right. Okay, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining this event, which is probably one of the first events of BNHS where an app is going to be launched virtually. And today we have with us scientists and policymakers. We have government officials and prominent personalities from the Forest Department. We have researchers and also participants from the Shell Group. And we all have the common agenda that we care for the natural world. I thank you again for taking your valuable time and being here for the launch of this event. Well, I would now like to extend my sincere welcome to our chief guest, Mr. N. Vasudevan, Principal Chief Conservator of Forests and Managing Director, Forest Development Corporation of Maharashtra Limited. Thank you, sir,
Hi.
for gracing
Thank
us
you.
with your presence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we all say that the sea has all the answers. Cradling one such intertidal world is the coastal belt of Maharashtra, the beautiful Konkan coast. A host of colorful creatures live in this intertidal zone, braving the tough waves. Life is indeed complex here and not so easy. But what if we tell you that all this information is available on a single platform? The coastal, the species, everything at the click of your cursor. It isn't a distant dream now. BNHS and Shell has made this possible for you. Well, this could definitely not have been done with the sincere support that we received from the Shell Group. Without further ado, I would like to invite the principal scientist of this project, Dr. Deepak Apte, to tell us more about the ecologically important marine and coastal biodiversity areas and what can we expect more from this app. Over to you, Dr. Apte.
Thank you, Deveshri. Good afternoon, all the participants, those who are online right now and those who are seeing our live streaming. I think this is a very, very interesting and ambitious program we embarked about 4 years ago with the support from BG, now Shell Group. And the idea behind this whole program is that most of the time our scientific reports are hardly used as a policy tool. And we thought it's going to be very useful if we convert this scientific information into a very hands-on, easy-to-use tool to say. So what we did really as a part of this project in last 4 years is in phase 1, we have surveyed the entire coast of Maharashtra to identify ecologically important sites, especially coastal and marine sites. In phase 2, we have further refined those areas into clusters and we have used internationally accepted EPSA, ecologically and biologically significant areas, criteria to define these clusters, because there has to be some global level benchmarking to identify the sites. And based on very rigorous on-ground work compounded with all peer-reviewed published literature that we have computed a huge metadata to derive to this web tool. This web tool essentially will provide a very easy to use platform for anyone. I mean, this is an open access free tool that we are going to launch today. It will be primarily used by anyone, right from coastal communities to companies to governments to individuals who's interested in understanding coastal and marine biodiversity. I think this is a dream project for me personally, because while we sit on number of government committees, we realize we are always constrained with immediate inputs that are required to make decisions. And decision support system is something that I have personally been promulgating in number of committees. So we thought, why not to start with BNHS itself, that we have such a large repository of knowledge. How can best we bring it in a public domain in a fashion that is scientifically accurate and provides very easy access to this information. With this brief introduction, I hand it over to you, Divyashri, and it's absolutely pleasure to see the project culminating this most awaited work that we have embarked upon 4 years ago.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with the beauty of the marine world. We are indeed at the crossroads of ecology and economy, and we know that there is no substitute to nature. Well, all this has been possible with Shell's support to environment and conservation. Let us hear more from Mr. Trivikram Arun, General Manager Upstream India and MD BGEPIL. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to first of all start by thanking all of you for taking time off your busy schedules, including our chief guest, Mr. Vasudevan. Which signifies basically the partnership which Dr. Apte just referred to between Shell and BNHS. If I take a step back and ask what is Shell's relationship with all of this, as an energy conglomerate, our relationship in the environment is quite natural. We are committed to meeting the energy needs in ways that are sustainable and acknowledge that this partnership needs to be nurtured and cared for. At a global level, of course, Shell works with a lot of environmental and developmental organizations. We apply very stringent mitigation standards when we operate in critical habitats, such as those rich in biodiversity and importantly conservation. As most of you know, we are also the first actually in the energy industry to introduce a biodiversity standard, and we keep constantly looking for opportunities to make a positive contribution wherever possible. At an international level, Shell has partnered with the International Union for Conservation of Nature, the Nature Conservancy and Earthwatch, and by working together with these organizations in the areas of biodiversity, we have and will continue to collaborate with environmental organizations on local projects. If you specifically then look at India, a once barren 1,200 hectare of land in the western area in the Hazira Peninsula now thrives with flora and fauna, basically as a result of the ecological restoration program that also will partner with its partners. And if we then talk about our association with BNHS, in our effort to support the preservation and the coastal biodiversity in the state of Maharashtra, as a part of our social investments, BGEPIL, which was then of course a part of the BG group, partnered with BNHS in 2016. And this association continued even post the Shell integration in 2017. A lot of people in this call today who are listening here, I'm sure will have very fond memories of the time when this initiative was launched many years ago. Now, as you're aware, the marine landscape along the western coastline bordering Maharashtra is made up of various habitats such as sandy shores, sand dunes, rocky shores, rock pools, mangroves, seagrasses, and a lot. And this coastline is home to a rich and a varied marine species, provides livelihood to local human inhabitants as well. And it's also ranks one of the highest among in terms of fishing areas in India's coastline. But the intermediate position between the sea and the land makes it very susceptible to disturbances and caused by damage from industrial and recreational activities. So as we understood all of this, the first step in any biodiversity conservation is of course to identify and document the sensitive zones that Dr. Apte just mentioned. And bearing this in mind, BGEPIL partnered with BNHS and took a massive exercise to assess Maharashtra's coastline and the ecologically important inhabited areas. Now, after an assessment of all of this, all the literature pertaining to the coastal habitats were all compiled, and there's a lot of data which was earlier referred to. Now, subsequently, 7 ecologically important marine and coastal biodiversity areas were identified, and the presence of very, very critical species such as sea turtles, whales, dolphins, coral, and seagrass patches were all mapped as a part of the study. And moving forward, it was then a time to share this knowledge and involve the local community in the conservation of the environment that they live in, which of course is the most important. So workshops were all held to engage stakeholders, including graduates, postgraduates, professors, who are all aware of the biodiversity sensitivities of this area. Now, entering, of course, into the last lap of this project, BNHS started developing the decision support system, which is why we are all here today, using very advanced computer technology. And actually, we sincerely hope that this tool will help stakeholders involved in the biodiversity conservation, including those people in the government, corporates, researchers, and academia, and all relevant stakeholders who are also responsible for looking after the environment. And this tool is a logical outcome of a lot of hard work over the last 3 years. And we are truly honored and happy to have partnered and supported BNHS their excellent work and going through biodiversity. And we actually help in the conservation of environment and the rich volume of biodiversity in the region. So I'd like to start here by once again thanking the team in BNHS for this collaboration, the Shell social performance and investment team, and the organizers. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Trivy. It was wonderful listening to you. And I really agree that the amalgamation of corporates and research institutions like us is the way forward for an inclusive ecosystem. Well, Dr. Apte has spoken about the project, why this activity started. Well, let us plunge in more and understand how and where this project started and how our researchers, Dr. Vishal Bhave and Ms. Reshma Pitare, have been endlessly working on the Konkan coast. I would now invite Reshma to give a presentation on the coastal Maharashtra and the EIM CBA project. Over to you, Reshma.
I think, Diveshri, before that, a quick request to participants to keep mute the mic so that we can hear
Yes.
it. Thank you.
Reshma. Reshma, we cannot hear you.
Sorry. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Divashri. With this presentation, I would like to share the background and various activities which were carried out while determining ecologically important pockets across the Maharashtra coast and the process in the present form of a tool. The entire project was divided into 3 main phases. Phase 1 was the conceptualization and establishing baseline. Second was to refinement of a phase 1 outcomes, and third includes the development of data sets in formats suitable for such platforms and make it available publicly. Images here, as you can see, represent some of the habitats or sites we surveyed. Rocky shores with boulders here and flat platforms or serene sandy shores on the Konkan coastline. So let's start with the phase 1. There are 3 points which I would highlight here once again. One is why coastal habitats and how negligence towards these habitats can matter us. Second is poorly studied intertidal diversity inhabiting this coast, or I can say information is scattered, or some groups are well studied or their diversity and distribution, but majorly groups surviving here are neglected. Third point is, of course, arbitrary development of along the coastline, whether it's infrastructure or tourism. I feel, considering all 3 aspects, how these habitats must be thriving and experiencing pressure, we can imagine of. For any sort of conservation activity, if we plan here, but we do not know what we have to really conserve. Simply, we don't have biodiversity information associated with this long 720 kilometer of coastline. So with the phase 1, we literally surveyed almost entire coastline. Here is the table quantifying number of creeks, sandy shores or rocky shores we explored. This exercise helped us to develop baseline about structural or biological diversity associated with this shoreline. We also considered macrobenthic epibiotic components as measure of biodiversity. Besides, we did some literature analysis based on remote sensing. I would present one interesting case study in the coming slides. Also, presence of marine mammals in nearshore areas, turtles, seagrass, and all other protected and IUCN red list graded species, and their presence were considered. We also carried out detailed literature review to understand prior work, records of species from this region. Here are some colorful nidarians, making my presentation colorful, I must say, as our coastline is. Based on the outcomes of phase 1 activities, we could carve 7 ecologically and biologically important marine and coastal biodiversity areas. We aimed it to get it assimilated in state's biodiversity strategy action plan. Presently, more than 5,000 species recorded along this Konkan coastline. About 464 species are protected under Wildlife Protection Act. I must mention here, although there are 29 IUCN red listed species, but most of the intertidal species, marine intertidal species, are almost data deficient. Here is the graphical representation. The species used here in this graph especially also includes species from the terrestrial domain just adjacent to these shores. Hence, species here contains birds, insects, and amphibians too. Here we have some corals and hydroids, sponges and seaweed diversity to give us this stuff of colorful diversity we have. There is a huge assemblage of species yet to identify. We are sure there are many new species and records for our country inhabiting our shorelines. Here is the map. As one example we have given here. As you can see, we have able to plot coastal infrastructure as well over it with a radius of 5 kilometer impact radius. I think the point about coastal pressure which we have been emphasizing can be visualized here. I can show you again. This is the diversity, the coral patches and other things you can see, and this is the coastal infrastructure just overlaid over this habitat. This is the area of each of the habitat within respective EIMCBA cluster in square kilometer. So let's move to the phase 2. As you have seen, the earlier clusters were certainly large to get it practically assimilated in any conservation strategy. So, based on prior data, we are examined certain sites, pockets again. We resurveyed it, I would say, and clusters were splitted into 16 small pockets. Again, emphasis were given to species having conservation importance, their rareness or species having limited distribution, and species graded under IUCN or is there any nursery habitats or something important aspects like this. Along with these biological aspects, we also have able to determine risk matrix for each of these pockets. Presence of 3 types of coastal infrastructure like ports, refinery and power plant, and their capacity were considered, relative scale were prepared. Along with tourism data, I think we could extract tourism data up to 2014. So here is the matrix, green area, the green boundary if you can see here. The green area, the points falling within green area indicates that there is a minimum risk because of that particular infrastructure or conservation issue. Orange area indicates the medium range risk, and the points which are falling within the red area here, as I am pointing here, throws a maximum or major threshold of pressure to that particular pocket. As I have mentioned to you earlier, here is one of the interesting case study I would like to present or share with you about the Dharamtar Creek. located southeast to Mumbai, very close to Mumbai city. Based on studying some historical imageries, it was clear that almost 4.5-fold increase in mangrove area were observed from 2019 to 1990 to 2019. If you can see the changes happening in the images placed here, starting from 1990 to 2019. We can see here how the encroachment and the saline water invasion has happened over the time period. There are many such examples. The case study clearly suggests that there are various factors and questions about the shoreline for which we do not have any answer of. At our end, multiple factors acting upon and natural aspects due to which there are certain changes along this coastline are constantly happening. We at our end trying to address such questions and continue to work with this perspective. Here is the table with refined EIMCBA 16 pockets or clusters and quantifying habitats, each of the intertidal habitats for respective pockets. These are the earlier 7 EIMCBA clusters. These are the newly defined, refined pockets. So let's move to the phase 3. Now we have reached to the final destination. As mentioned in earlier slide, that this area is absolutely less explored for its diversity. It was utterly important for us to make this collected information available to all the relevant stakeholders in some meaningful format. Also, this platform will definitely of use to all governing bodies while framing any conservation or management activity. With this idea in mind, we started penning down all the relevant layers, data sets together. As you can see here in the picture, this system works with a basic idea of staking multiple layers or data sets together and draw a cumulative, meaningful picture of particular site or area. These layers, for example, can be of different imageries revealing information of various parameters, the satellite imageries, or these layers can be of species occurrence records or polygons for protected areas. As a primary activity and initial phase of this concept, we are releasing this platform having biodiversity and habitat information in it. We have extracted species occurrences, geotagged them, and framed in Darwin Core Archive format, since this is the internationally accepted data format. Further down, using computer programming, the data sets are presented on the platform. You will see the visuals in a while. Certainly, we look forward to add more and more meaningful layers which will increase the gravity of this platform and precise inferences can be drawn out of it. Some opportunities and our ongoing aspects are also mentioned here on the slide. We are also open for fruitful collaborations and happy to receive if people can share their published data sets or research papers. I'm ending my presentation here, but before leaving, that we would definitely like to highlight that this platform is entirely prepared for non-commercial use. We have used publicly available data sources and BNHS own data sets. Reference section on the tool cites all these material precisely. Thank you all for listening to my presentation. That's it from my side. Over to you, Divishri.
Oh, thank you, Reshma. That was a wonderful visual trip indeed. During a time, especially when we are locked within our houses and cannot go to places, it was really refreshing. And thank you for shedding light on one of the most environmentally rich and diverse Konkan coast. Well, now the much awaited moment of the day, why we have all gathered here, is now. I now request our chief guest, Mr. N. Vasudevan, to officially launch the web tool that we are all eager to explore, sir. Sir, you will have to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Ms. Devasri. It's my great pleasure in unveiling this web tool and launching it for the use of a wide variety of people who have interest in the conservation of coastal and marine biodiversity along Maharashtra coast. I declare that this app is, the web tool is hereby launched.
Thank you so much, sir. So we now.
My pleasure.
So the Coastal and Marine Biodiversity Assessment Tool has now been launched by our chief guest, Mr. N. Vasudevan. Thank you very much. Our audience, I'm sure, are eager to hear some words about the environment and conservation. So we would request you to give your speech.
It's my honor and pleasure and privilege to be part of this very important event. And I'm sure it will have a lot of applications in future. And we are glad that this is happening for Maharashtra with the initiative of the BNHS. I know for the last so many years, with our close association with the BNHS, the Mangrove Cell and the Mangrove Foundation has also been working on the coast of Maharashtra. And together we can proudly say that we have taken the conservation efforts in the field of coastal and marine biodiversity in Maharashtra to a higher level, and we can proudly say that we are the leaders in coastal and marine biodiversity conservation in the country. There's a lot for other coastal states to learn from us, and I'm glad that this tool is now being launched. And globally, you will see that marine and coastal biodiversity is gaining a lot of prominence in the various biodiversity-related debates. But in our country, it is still in a very nascent stage. So we need a lot of organizations, including government and non-semi-government and NGOs and prominent organizations, to put in all their resources and efforts and skill to create such tools which will help policy planners to give a greater boost to coastal and marine biodiversity conservation. And being a developing country, we also have a lot of priorities in the coastal areas as far as developments are concerned. And coastal communities need development. The infrastructure in the coastal areas need to be built up. And at the same time, we need to conserve our vast resources which are of very little, there is very little information about these resources available with us. And policy planners are often, persuaded to ignore the coastal and marine diversity aspects because the information gap is there. And development always takes precedence and priority. So in that scenario, it is important that we present the biodiversity in a very systematic manner, and it becomes accessible to the public, the other stakeholders, and also the government, and anybody who is interested, including scientists, researchers, and all kinds of stakeholders, including the local community, which is the most important. They have knowledge of traditional knowledge of their resources in their neighborhood, but at the same time to look at it in a more scientific manner with the backing of years of research which has been undertaken by BNHS. That would be very useful, and I'm sure this kind of tool will be developed in other states also in the future, but we are now the pioneers, and every coastal state should definitely move towards building up such tools. And this kind of open access free tool, which highlights the ecologically important marine and coastal biodiversity areas, and the different ecosystems, the different species, and the risk matrix, presentation of the risk matrix, and a good decision support system to take care of the multiple issues related to coastal and marine biodiversity conservation. This is really of great importance because in my nearly 8 years of working in the coastal areas of Maharashtra under the Mangrove Cell and the Mangrove Foundation, I found that there is a lot of information gap, which really is a big bottleneck in developing policies for the coastal areas. Now, to some extent, to a great extent, I would say this tool will help us to fill that gap and present a more scientific, systematic and meticulous presentation of the issues related to coastal marine biodiversity conservation. Sometimes the development pressure is such that it is very hard to resist development coming even in a very highly sensitive coastal area, which is characterized by very important species diversity or ecosystem uniqueness. But at the same time, if you have enough scientific tools and enough scientific data, then the job would be much easier. So it is the kind of balance that we require in natural resource conservation, balancing development and conservation. For that to achieve in the coastal and marine sector, I think we have a long way to go, and this is definitely a very important milestone in that journey. And I congratulate BNHS for developing this tool, and this is done under the skillful guidance of Dr. Deepak Apte, who is the director of the BNHS. And I know his passion and involvement in the coastal marine biodiversity realm for the last so many years. And I have observed and have been fortunate to associate him with him for the last so many years in planning so many novel ideas for the conservation of coastal and marine biodiversity. So definitely a lot of scientific input must have gone into it. A lot of research must have spent months and years gathering this data, analyzing it, and developing it into a user-friendly, open source, open access tool. So I congratulate from the bottom of my heart the efforts undertaken by Dr. Deepak Apte and his team of BNHS in developing this web tool. I also congratulate Shell for supporting this very important activity. Usually, the importance of these coastal marine biodiversity issues are not so much known to the corporate world, and I would say they have this vision and the foresight to support such a very important project, and I congratulate them for that. And it has been a great pleasure talking to all of you. And right now I'm not involved in coastal and marine biodiversity conservation due to my new assignment, but at the same time, in my heart of my heart, I am always a marine man, and would always love to come back to contribute in the sector of coastal and marine biodiversity conservation. And I am really grateful to Dr. Apte and the BNHS community to be part of this very important event. Thank you so much, and all the very best for all your future assignments. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. The honor is ours to have you here. Well, you rightly said there's a lot of information, scattered information out there, but not the right platform to have it together. And the paradox is we are a country surrounded by water on all the three sides. It is even more important for us to ensure that the development pressures are correctly addressed. Well, so by that, now I'm sure you would like to know more about how this web tool that we have created works. Reshma will give us a short demonstration of the app. Reshma, can we please take all the audience to the web tool?
Yes, Divishri, sure. Indeed, I am happy to take all of you on the floor to the tour of our web platform. The name as suggests Combat Coastal Marine Biodiversity Assessment Tool. The home page, here we are on the home page of the tool. The home page talks about the name of such an interface and background of this initiative. To explore the tool, you need to first register and you need to enter the profile details and receive a link in the email. Tap on the link to create your Combat account. The home page, I have presently logged into the system for easy navigation. The home page also contains user guide, as you can see here. It's 4 steps actually, and videos placed for each of the steps. You can merely refer to the part that is useful to you. Before moving ahead, I would like to highlight that the system is still in its infancy, and we are trying to gather more resources and information to get it into the system. To check out the actual biodiversity, the actual part associated with the system and the coastal areas of Maharashtra, you need to move to the dashboard page. The page has 2 panels, as you can see here. On the left hand side, top corner, are some labels or some tool placed, plus and minus, which will help you to zoom in and zoom out of the map. And the one small circle here, which will allow you to draw a circle, a freehand tool, which will allow you to draw a circle over the area of your interest. I will show you how it works in a second. The right panel, the main panel, contains the section that provides details about different layers and the species occurrence information. The whole entire analytics will get displayed here. So let's begin with this main panel. When you click on the legends, it gives you a ready-made option to 5, 10 or 15 kilometer to draw a circle of desired radius. Below that are the layers of information listed in the system. Presently, there are 3 sections, as you can see here: biodiversity, habitat, and area of conservation importance. Here in the right side corner, you can see on this function bar, you can see after clicking on it, you will get 2 options for a base imagery. Either you can choose OpenStreetMap or Google image here. Right now, OpenStreetMap option use. Now let me take you through the main section of the system. Let's draw After drawing the circle, the pages that are listed here carry information about the area of your choice. Let's take one example as we have taken here. In the keystone species section, the keystone species page, as you can see, there are 2 aspects. One here tells you the radius of your drawn circle. Presently it is 9.49 kilometers. Presently, about keystone species, the table which has appeared here, we have uploaded information about turtles, seagrass, marine mammals, and corals. In this here, as you can see, in the drawn area, the information has appeared.